Already. What's up, guys? This is your boy, David Chen. We're at Pandanomics Podcast 2.0. Today, we have a very dear friend of mine, my little brother, a mentee. He's an amazing content creator. He is a great person. I love talking to him. My boy, Merc Anthony. Merc, say hi to everybody.
Hi, everyone. It's your boy, Merc Anthony, also known as Anthony Mercaldi.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what's amazing about Merc and how we met, I'll let Merc kind of explain how we kind of met through social media and became very, very good friends. And then, what I like about this young man is, as at 19 years old, he's really hustling, he's really bustling, he's really focused. He blocks out the noise of the haters, and then he's growing in life. So he's putting together his relationships as he's trying to grow his brand and his content strategy while not being afraid to ask for help and growth and direction. So I really respect this young man. He's way ahead of me in my years. I would never have had the opportunity or the goals to do that. So I really respect that. So let's get into it. Merc, talk a little bit about yourself, a little about your social media and what you're doing, what you're trying to do as a content strategy person.
Well, actually, you said I was 19. I'm actually 18.
Oh, 18, that's right.
Yeah. So even younger.
Yeah.
So I'm fresh out of high school. Only been out of high school less than a year. I've been doing content for actually 8 years. I started on YouTube on a little iPod Touch back in 2011. And I upgraded to a laptop, upgraded to a computer, upgraded to a gaming computer, and just it went on as it went on. Every day after school, I spent my time either producing videos on in Minecraft, or then I ended up playing like Gary's Mod, Call of Duty, etc. And I also was very fond of Twitch, and I've always been around Twitch since it was actually Justin TV back before it was Twitch. So yeah, I've been doing this obviously for a long time. I've dedicated all of my money, my time, and everything since I was a child. Like, I was 10 years old, and I was like, okay, it's my birthday. I get this much money. I'm going to get a little gaming laptop, Like, I get this much money. I'm going to get a new camera. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get that microphone. I didn't spend my money on, like, clothes or food or going out and stuff. Like, I always sacrificed everything I could to improve my setup and to improve my content. So, I mean, even from a young age, I always had like that drive, like, this is what I wanted to do. And like, I knew from a young age that this was like what I wanted to do. And now I'm doing it. And it is my full-time job. I don't have any other source of income. This is what I do.
Now, what's amazing about that is that you were laser focused from a very young age, and you stayed focused. So that just goes and proves that age really isn't nothing but a number or an excuse to not succeed. Now, let's talk about something that really does happen to a lot of young people who are trying to get into this space. How did you deal with your parents? How did you deal with your parents when you were spending all your money, buying all this equipment, going online for hours and hours, talking to random people on social media like myself? How did you do that? And how did your parents start supporting you? How did you go from this to this in that short amount of time?
So, I think every person in my family had a different outlook on it. I think my father was very open-minded because he's always been in technology. He's always like known a lot about like the internet and whatnot. So he's always been like really behind it and really supportive with that. I'd say a lot of other people in my family thought it was a phase and that I'd just grow out of it. And they were just like yesing me to death. And they were just like, oh yeah, you got this. Like, but they actually were thinking in their head, like, oh, you have to go to college and you have to do this and you have to do something else. And like, this is not going to be your source of income. And obviously, like, when I started, I didn't even think it was going to be my source of income. When I started, YouTube was not a place where you could make a job. It was just a place to put out content for fun. So I didn't go into this thinking I was going to make money until like years later, when I had already just been doing it passionately for so long. I was like, oh, well, like, I can actually do this as a job, something I actually really enjoy doing. And so I pursued that. And even to this day, I do think that, people are still thinking like, I need to be very careful because obviously, it is definitely a big risk to put all your eggs in one basket. So I am actually going to college on the side. I do online school for digital marketing, which works perfectly with what I'm doing.
And what college is that?
Full Sail University.
Amazing.
So, I mean, I do have, let's say, a backup. I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket, but definitely I do 100% believe in myself, and I do 100% believe that I will continue to do this for a long period of time.
Now, one discussion that we had is, when we see each other and we talk, you talk to me about how the kids in high school would make fun of you, right?
Yeah.
And to you, for most people I know at my young age, even at my older age, people, when they make fun of you or they try to crush your dreams, or as we call them, haters, it's really easy to listen to the noise. How did you block out the noise and stay true to yourself and laser focused?
Well, I mean, for a long time, I've always had the mindset of like, this is who I am, and you're either gonna like me for who I am or you're not. And like, there's so many people in the world, and I knew that from a young age that like people are, I don't want to say replaceable, but it's kind of like, if somebody is gonna spend their time putting you down, there's no reason for you to keep them in your life. There are plenty of other good people you can meet out there. Whether it's through the internet, I had a lot of friends on the internet when I was younger because a lot of the people in school, didn't like me or bullied me. And we met on the internet. I've met my best friend on the internet, Zytex. He lives in Michigan. I live in New Jersey, and now we're building something together, which is awesome. So, I mean, it's just always been the idea of if someone is going to be a negative factor in your life, there's no reason to keep them there. And just, there's definitely good people out there that you could find.
Right. So that's what we talk about, right? Positive impact, positive influence. If your team isn't rooting for you, I know we've had that discussion. We let them go, right? We let them go because they're not rooting for you, right? And I think a lot of young people, especially, or a lot of people in general, it's so easy to stay comfortable that in order to succeed, you have to be uncomfortable, right? You have to make those changes. I know that you told me that the kids made fun of you. Talk about an incident where they made fun of you and how you're over to overcome that and still stick to content creating. And then when you started getting the wins and started getting sponsors, how that's changed during the course of your time, because we've known each other for about a year now. And even then it's been a big growth rate from the time I've met you.
Yeah. So for a long time, there wasn't much I could really say, I guess you could say. Like, people would be like, oh, you're wasting your time. Oh, you're never going to make anything. You're never going to go anywhere. YouTube is dumb, whatever. Back when, like, it really wasn't anything, right? And nobody thought that you could make anything out of it. So, like, it was easy to make fun of me, like, oh, you're weird. What are you doing? Why are you making internet videos? And I just kind of had to take it and, like, not say anything. I had nothing really to say back for years. Eventually it came to a point where like I got some sort of backbone and I was able to be like, well, like, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I don't say anything about what you do, and it was never like an aggressive thing, really for me. I think as time went on and I started to become more successful, I definitely saw some people switch. I definitely saw a lot of people be like, oh, dude, that's so cool. You do YouTube. And obviously YouTube also became more popular and more mainstream to the point where it's like, oh, you're a YouTuber. That's awesome. Whereas like years ago, it was like, what is that? So definitely there's a lot of people in high school or wherever that have switched and been like, oh, well, let's be friends now. Oh, could you put me in your videos? Oh, can we stream together? All this stuff. Or like, let's say like the face people that I know, or like the large content creators that I know, that people are like fans of. They're like, oh my God, can you like get them to sign this for me when you see them next or whatever? And it's like, dude, you used to literally bully me for this for years. And it's crazy to see like the snakes, I guess you could say, come out.
So as they bullied you, and obviously you're active, you obviously, again, blocked out the noise. Now, what's amazing to me is you were petty about it, right? You didn't sit there and say, you used to bully me, forget you. How did you react? How as someone at 18 years old, tell me how you reacted when they were bullying and they were asking you for these type of favors.
I mean, a lot of the time I would let them know, like I would be straight up with them, not in like an aggressive way. Cause I don't know. I've never been like one to start fights. I've never been one to like, I mean, that I'm not a very
Right.
violent or whatever person. But I'd be like, dude, why are you asking me to do stuff for you when you've never supported me all these years? Or, people would ask me or actually like still continued to taunt me thinking that I wasn't aware of it. Cause there are some people who get bullied that don't realize it and they think they're actually their friend, but they're actually laughing at them. There are people that would be like, oh, well, give me merch. I'll wear it in my football games. I'll get you a ton of followers. And I was like, dude, that's like the dumbest idea of an investment for me. My target market is not football watchers. I should give it to a content creator. That would be a way smarter investment for me. It makes no sense for me to give you a shirt for you to wear during your football game. And like, I would say stuff like that, that makes sense. But like I said, I did mention, like, there's no reason for me to be friends with you when you've put me down all these years.
Right. And I think a lot of people get this very confused, right? You don't need to be fake to people. You don't have to be rude, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to be fake, right? And I think a lot of times in this world, depending on the circumstance you are, people end up being fake because they're trying not to be rude. I know the one thing that we discuss consistently within my friends, and especially in the podcast, is why are we so much more polite to strangers than we are to our own family members or to the people that we love or our best friends, right? Why are we like that? Because inherently the issue is it's much more easier to be polite to someone you don't know than it is to someone you do know because their comfort level exists. So the issue isn't that you're not a polite or nice person. The issue is you don't appreciate the perspective of the people around you, and we're treating people who don't love us and don't support us and don't care about us, right? And putting them in a box that they didn't deserve because the people that love and support us have a much stronger presence, and we should give them a lot more love and respect and think before we speak, right? That's the most important thing. Now let's talk about the big breakthrough. Here you are with the big sponsor that comes in, right? And to me, the biggest one so far has been G Fuel, right?
Yep.
Talk a little bit how you got into that, how you reached out, the process. Give me that process to where you got to where you are now when people were still making fun of you.
So basically with G Fuel and most of my other sponsorships, it's all come from networking. And I think a lot of people like don't realize that. A lot of people think that, they hit a certain follow count and they're just going to get offered all these sponsors, or they're going to stream this many hours and they're going to get this many sponsors. And it's not at all how it works. I know a lot of people that are larger content creators than me with larger viewers and have been doing this, I guess more hours than me or putting up more videos. And they're like, how do you get all these sponsors? I can't pull them, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, one, I love the product, right? So every sponsor that I work with, I always love the product and I always stand behind that. Otherwise, I'd lose my trust with my audience. So, like G Fuel, I've been drinking for 4 years now. I've only been contracted for a little less than 2 years.
Amazing.
So I've been showing off the product in my content, making videos of new flavor unboxings, or, every stream starting it by making G Fuel because I genuinely bought and loved the product myself. And then the business relationship came from going to events and talking to the people in the company, including the CEO, the partnership managers, etc. And then also connecting with them on social media and not like DMing them like, oh, can I get a sponsorship? It was more of just like, providing value to their day if like they posted something, commenting or whatnot, and just building those relationships over time. And then eventually through networking, they ended up coming into my stream. And they said, oh, we like this. You don't have like the numbers we usually look for, but we like your content, we like your personality, and we like how you promote our product. Do you want to work with us? And from that point on, we started an awesome relationship. They're obviously my closest partner now, and we work very closely together.
Right. So the one thing we talk about is providing value, right? And you're providing value. I think when you're sitting there and you hit at people on social media and you try to talk to them, I get 3 types, right? I get the hi, I get the can you do something for me, right? And the third one is I provide this, can we collaborate and can I do something for you, right? That's usually how it works. Now, I personally, I don't brush off any of the 3. I always read them and I try to figure them out because to me, people haven't figured out 1, 2, or 3, like where they are and what the comfort level is 1, 2, 3, right? So when they approach me, it's either the first one, the second one, the third one, right? So when you're approaching someone big like a G Fuel or as a 16, 17-year-old high school kid walking into these big gaming conventions and you're self-aware that your content is great and you're self-aware that you might not have as many followers as competition, but you have the self-aware, you've checked your ego, you understand it, and you walk in, you're talking to these giant CEOs who are worth this and that and that and this because you have figured out that being nice gets you everywhere and being not nice gets you nowhere. That's something you and I have always talked about, right? Stay nice, stay humble, stay focused, be the good person that I know that you are, going from there. At that very moment, as you're walking up and you're talking to the CEO of someone as big as G Fuel, what's racing through your mind and what was the approach that you did that?
Well, I mean, it was definitely, I don't know. I've never been the type to, I guess you could say, freak out. I know a lot of people will freak out when they're in like a room with a celebrity or if they end up getting to talk to somebody big in their industry or whatnot. And I've never been the type to freak out. I've always just, treated them as a normal person. And when talking to people like that, I present myself in a professional but still fun manner. Obviously, especially in the gaming industry, you don't have to be so serious a lot of the times. A lot of the people in the gaming industry understand overall gamers, we all have fun on the internet. And the CEO of G Fuel literally streams on Twitch every Friday. He's very active with the community. He's constantly starring in videos and stuff. And he's great, and obviously, so when talking to him, it was always just oh, hey, my name is this, I do this, I love your product, let's connect, pretty much. I mean, it was connecting on social media at first, just a Twitter follow from both of us, Instagram, I got emails, business cards, etc. And just the constant seeing them, I would attend a lot of events, and I think events are very, very important. It's vital. That's why I'm about to drive 27 hours to Texas to attend an event last minute, because I don't want to miss a potential opportunity or a potential contact or a potential, thing of content that I can make there. It's almost always worth it, whether it's the investment or the how bad do you want it factor of I'm about to drive 27 hours to make this happen last minute. I've just continued to go to events over and over and over again, and continually seeing these people gives you more credibility, because you're going the extra mile of going to these events all around the world. I'm from New Jersey. I go to California, Boston, I'm about to go to Texas. I've gone to so many different places for events. And when you're just a content creator and you're just on social media, you're definitely restricting yourself, because that real world interaction is so much more powerful.
Right. At 18 years old, you figure out something. You're driving 27 hours at a last minute thing, and you're really trying to get it going to attend an event, which is PAX Texas. You just told me that, PAX South. Yep. And to just meet people, right? There's not necessarily a guaranteed meeting going from there. That is so amazing to me, that someone at such a young age is a hustler and is a go-getter and has the galls to do that, right? Because it's not like you have massive amounts of money backed up. It's not like you're getting a private flight there. You are investing in yourself and investing in your team, the elite, to get all the way over there and actually talk to people. Man, that makes me so proud of you, and you should be super proud of yourself and what you're trying to do. And that should be a lesson to all the people that are listening, whether you're young, as 18, or as old as 90 at this point, who's listening to these podcasts. It really comes down to the action of just doing it and then believing in yourself and achieving, right? So as that is happening, how are you balancing right now, your relationship with your team, your content creating, school, your family, and your friends, right? Most people at this young age are overwhelmed. Most people in general get overwhelmed. How do you stay focused and balance that work-life balance that I've always preached to you is extremely important? How do you do that?
Well, I mean, I've definitely seen a lot of difficulties in it. Obviously it's hard once you get off of a normal schedule where you're waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning every day to go to school. Now I don't have to do that, right? So everything that I have to do has to be discipline based now. It's not just oh, I have to go. So I'm still definitely working on it. I'm not going to sit here and be I have everything figured out. I definitely am still having problems with, getting a good schedule going in regards to how much I'm sleeping or when I'm sleeping. For instance, I was up last night until 5:30 in the morning, I think. And I woke up an hour before this meeting. Right. But obviously I knew that this was happening. And I made sure I was up for it, of course. But, I was up late, researching a bunch of stuff and marketing and all that stuff, because it's important to put that time in, right? Where my girlfriend was also streaming the entire time. She streamed 13 hours last night. So it's definitely difficult. I've definitely had a lot of difficulties with seeing family or with seeing friends or with making time for, a social life, or making time for anything else. But I definitely do my best to keep that balance, to keep going to the gym, working on my health, to keep, seeing friends and seeing my girlfriend, seeing family, and also working incredibly hard at what I'm really trying to achieve.
One moment about us and our relationship, and I want to get into how you reached out to me, how you found me, and how we talked about it. But let's fast forward the fact that I'm actually your parents' age. So most of these audience people will be shocked. People that know me through you will be shocked. It's that Asian genes we always talk about, right? So I remember that when I was on my way to New York, I had a very limited amount of time for the first time I met you. And I was there for a conference, right? I was speaking, right? And you drove down. How far did you drive down to see me?
I think it was an hour and a half.
One way.
Yeah.
So you drove 3 hours down to see me, to talk to me as we developed this friendship online. And you took the time to meet with me. And I had other friends that were there, right? And for me, because I was in such a limited time, I invited you to have dinner we had the meeting, and then I invited you to we had dinner right afterwards, right? And then the next time I go down, it was the same thing, because I'm not in New York often. At least I say I'm not, but I think I'm going there now like every quarter at this point, right? And I invite you down again. And every time I've been there, we have seen each other. We have caught up. The first time was after we spoke at an esports event. The second time it was when I was going down there with Gary V, and we had dinner with my other friend. The third time was my cousin, Healing You, who's a state assemblywoman in New York. And you were so impressive to me because you blended in and you were so smart. The one thing I tell everybody when I do a meeting is I never talk first, right? You listen, you understand the environment, you understand the situation, whether it's in business or casual circumstances. That doesn't mean you're rude, you don't say anything, and then you adjust and adapt. Now, at 18, 17 years old, I met you when you were 17, right? So at 18, you impressed me so much, and you pulled it off. I didn't find you as a risk. I didn't find you as a risk that when I had to have a big meeting, I knew that if I was with you, you weren't going to embarrass me, you weren't going to embarrass yourself, because the people around you are a reflection of who you are, right? We talked about this. And you were able to pull that off so impressively. And I don't think I've ever even told you this, have I? That I don't
think so.
I was so proud of you, and I've always been proud of you. And that is why we did this. So let's talk about this. How did we meet, and how did we start developing this relationship and your mindset when we first started talking?
Well, I was on Instagram. As I spent a lot of hours on Instagram every day. Obviously, it's part of my job. And I've been a big viewer of FaZe for a long time. Like, I even went to the New York FaZe house back when that was a thing. I've been watching them since, I don't even know how long. It was years. And I've always really supported what they've done. And obviously, I wanted to, network with all the people in FaZe. And when I found out that there was more to FaZe than just like the content creators we all know, online, there's like the people behind the scenes, like you, like Lee Trink, like a lot of the people who are not as like in the public eye because they don't make content. Not content like the way that the FaZe people do. I definitely was opened to that through Instagram when I noticed like people being tagged. Like, let's say Banks puts up a picture with, Lee or something, or somebody puts up a picture with one of you guys. And I went through the tags, I followed everybody, and I looked through all their stuff. And like, for instance, I dropped you a follow. I think like the next day you followed me back. And like, I liked some of your posts whenever they came out, and I commented on them, providing value to you. You would like my stuff and comment on mine, providing value to me. Eventually, I think like I commented on a few of your stories. We had like little conversations, and then eventually you were like, oh, I think you're really cool. Let's set up an introductory call. And then we had a call like the next day or 2 days later, just like talking to each other about who we are and like meeting.
Right. So you did something that is extremely important. At 17 years old, you did something that was great. You researched, you looked around, you paid attention, right? People stay busy, right? They get busy, but they're not efficient, right? You're very efficient because you stream at 24 hours, sometimes 12 hours, sometimes.
I've done 37.
Right. You just played in a play NACL tournament where you stayed on for 8 hours of streaming, and then you had a G Fuel stream right after that because you were like, Dave, I got G Fuel stream after that, and you kept working on your craft. But when you were doing these type of things and researching, you pay attention, right? It's not just like thumbing through Instagram. It's like who these guys are, and you're studying your craft, right? That's the most important. Not only did you have guts and the ability to do something, and you just went for it, you started your craft, and as a small investor in the FaZe and being so proud of the brand and what these guys have done, and just feeling very, very lucky to be working with them, and after we did the Super Bowl commercial together, To me, it was such an amazing thing because everyone I ever talked to were so humble, right? They're all humble. Lee, who was in Capitol Records, to Greg, who went and came in, to Clinton, who is one of my best friends, Sparks, right? And he founded all these people. It was such an amazing process. And at my age, at 39, I finally found what I love. I've always liked everything, and I always did everything as hard as I could. But I finally found something that I love, which was always been gaming, which was always talking to people from a young age to an old age. And it was always trying to work with them, right? So you provided value. And me, it goes both ways. I provided value back, right? It's not a one-way road, right? If you keep providing value to someone and they don't provide value back, eventually you have to cut your losses. For me, I usually do a 3-part rule. I don't want to be buggy. I don't want to be naggy. I'll talk to you 3 times about something. It doesn't work, but we stay consistent, and boom, things work out. And that's kind of what happened with us, right? How we developed a friendship. So that was super amazing and talented. Now let's talk about one more thing. Your brand, right? We first met, you didn't have the orange hair, right?
That's right.
You didn't have the Merc logo, right? Let's talk about how you built this out, made it so amazing. So now when I see it, I recognize it. The hair, when I see orange,
Yep.
I do it. The same reason that I am David Chen Panda, Panda Loves You, Pandanomics podcast, the same reason that we're doing anything with Panda, it was to recognize a brand. Tell me how you got your trademark orange and what led up to that amazing brand process.
Well, there was definitely a lot of thinking, brainstorming, and also like references to my past, right? So, for instance, I used to make a lot of my logos myself. Obviously, when I started, I didn't have money to pay a design studio or a designer to do anything for me.
Wait a minute. At a very young age, you figured out to do it yourself if you couldn't pay for it. I mean, that means it wasn't an education. It wasn't college. It was you researching it. And how old are you when you did this?
Probably like 15, 16.
15 years old, and you realized if you wanted to do something, you could go Google it and figure it out?
Yeah.
Amazing. Keep going.
So I taught myself Photoshop. I taught myself how to edit in Premiere, which is literally used to like make movies. Like the Deadpool movie was made in Premiere. So I edit all my videos, even like to this day, in Premiere. I do have an editor, but I still edit some of my content myself. I do a lot of stuff in Photoshop, like all my thumbnails I still do myself because I just taught myself through the internet, right? So for a lot of the years, I would make my own logos. I would make my own banners, my own everything. And, a lot of the logos I made happened to include fire or include an M, obviously, for Merc or Merc Anthony. And I had like a fire water logo. I had another fire logo. I had another fire logo. I think I had like 4 different fire M logos that I made myself that I wasn't quite happy with in terms of like, the shape or maybe the exact coloring or whatever. And eventually when I got to a point where I had enough money that I made from streaming, I was like, all right, I'm going to invest in myself, which a lot of people don't do. I was actually talking about this on stream like yesterday. So many people in my industry are like, oh, why would you pay? I paid $300 for my logo and my branding, right? And that's like nothing really in the business like idea, because like so many businesses would
For someone young, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, but obviously for someone young.
Okay, great. I love that. And then?
A lot of people will be like, oh, it's like I paid $10 for this logo. And in my mind, I'm like, well, you're probably going to end up getting a new one soon, right? So I invested like $300. I went with a design studio that I knew was reputable, works with a lot of people, and does really great work. And they worked with me until we made something that I loved and I really fell in love with, and that was my signature Fire M logo. And then once that was done, it went from there. I wanted, obviously, fire, so fire went with orange, and I ended up gravitating towards orange for all of my branding from then on. I felt that orange was a color that was different. There's not too many companies that use orange in their branding. There's like Home Depot. There's a bunch of companies, but the majority of companies are not orange. There's only so many you can name. And also content creators, there's not too many that use orange in their branding. So I was like, okay, I want to be different. I think orange also goes with my personality in the way that it's like a fun color. It's a bright color. It's happy, summery, right? So the color has meaning. It also works with the fire, and it just works perfectly with the brand. And so I ended up making my hair orange, which is now also a signature thing. People recognize me through that. Like I've been like out at a mall or on the boardwalk, and people come up to me and be like, I saw your hair and I knew it was you. What's up, dude? Like I watched your content, right? And so like that's helped me to be more recognizable, which is also great for networking as well, with bigger people because they remember me. It's like, oh, you're the orange hair kid,
That's
right?
right.
Sometimes I introduce myself as like, oh, hey, I'm the kid with orange hair,
Right.
right? And it's funny and it's recognizable and it's really good. So I've always like from then on worked with orange stuff. Like I'm wearing an orange hoodie now. I wear a lot of orange clothes. You know, orange has just been my thing, and it sets me apart from everyone.
Super proud of you. So you did the one thing we talk about, which is find your niche, right? What makes you different, what makes you special, what makes you stand out. In the branding world, you did your research, you invested in yourself, you did it yourself to learn. And then even as confident as you were to doing it, you still recognized your ego and you self-checked it and you spent money investing it to make your brand and your logo better. Most people, even at a high level of experience in the life, have never even had the goals to do that. And the fact that someone at 17 could figure that out, again, makes me so proud of you as a person. So I want to get into two more things. You've always told me you're not a great gamer, but you're in the gaming community. Now, hear this out, people. You're not a great gamer. You're a game community. You do something called content strategy and brand, right? You've self-checked. You know you're not great at this. You've checked your ego at your door, like we talked about in Pandanomics Podcast 1. You went into game. Tell me how you recognize that and how you utilize your strengths to achieve what you've achieved.
So, you know, even today when I introduce myself and I explain what I do to people, and I'm like, oh, well, I essentially play video games for a living. Obviously, there's a lot more to that, but to like simplify it for a lot of people, it's like, oh yeah, I play video games. And people are like, oh, so you must be really good. You must be so good. Yeah, I'm sure you would destroy me in this game or whatever, right? And I'm like, no, I actually am really bad at games. Like I actually do terrible. And it can be really entertaining to watch somebody bad at games that like gets mad or whatever. Usually I don't get mad, but like, you know, definitely a funny reaction to it.
Right, no rage quitting or anything, right?
Yeah. So definitely, you know, I've figured out that a lot of people have told me I'm funny. A lot of people have told me I'm entertaining. I'm weird, but like that's a good thing to be weird. It's entertaining. It's something different and it stands out. And so I've highlighted my personality in my content way more than my gameplay, you know, to the point where I will make my camera bigger than, you know, a lot of my gameplay, because what's important is more me in my content, not the game I'm playing or how well I'm doing in the game. And a lot of my viewers realize that. And that's why I do variety content. I don't just play one game. I can play whatever game and my viewers will still stick with me because they like me as a person, not just, oh, I'm good at this game.
So that's when I tell people like concepts and ideas, but people don't like investing into people that suck, right? Energy drainers that are negative, that aren't friendly. The one thing I talk about in business is I don't want to work with someone when they call me. I'm like, oh man, I really don't want to take this call. I'll call them later, right? Because you don't want to deal with those people. And I think a lot of people misunderstand trying to be consistent and trying to get someone's attention and just being obnoxious. But what you have created is you're enjoyable to talk to, right? Like I will see something, I will message you. I do like talking to you. I do like spending time with you. You like doing the same with us because you're just enjoyable, right? And so the number one thing I tell people is just be nice, right? You don't need to be a jerk. There's enough jerks in the world. Be nice. And eventually, somewhere down the road, it's going to work, right? Is being nice. And so the fact that you were able to do that makes me super, super excited. Let's talk about when you're feeling off kiltered, you reach out to people for mentors and you ask them questions, right? You're not afraid to ask the questions. Who are some of your mentors and how have they helped you shape it? And how are you passing down the knowledge to other people to make them feel the same way?
I'd say there's a lot of people I've definitely like looked up to and that I've learned a lot from. There's definitely, you're definitely familiar with Ty Lopez.
Of course.
Yeah. So, you know, I went through his 67-step program when I was younger. Like in high school, I was that one kid, you know, cause he was known as like the Lamborghini guy and everybody thought he was just like a meme, but like he's, you know, he's an investor and he has a lot that you can learn from. So I learned a lot from his program. I've learned a lot from Gary Vee. I've learned a lot from you.
Yeah, that name, that makes me feel very, very special, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, seeing your posts and the things that you put up there, you know, it's just like a reminder to stay humble, or like a reminder of this and that. And it's definitely like really insightful to have that constantly coming up on your feed, or to have that person around you, like the way that we communicate. It's good to surround yourself with people like that, because then you're going to end up being like that.
Absolutely. I think, the one thing when I put up social media stuff and I talk about positivity, it's not just for the audience and the people, but it's also for me. It's a reminder for me, because I'm a human being too, right? I have my off days. I tell you I have off days. It's not perfect. Social media is a highlight reel, right?
Mhm.
It's like Sports Center. It's the top 10 plays. It's all the cool stuff. Nobody wants to see the struggle. And for one discussion I had with Steve Babcock in one of our previous podcasts, who was a former CCO of Intermedia, was when you're sitting there and you're doing it, everyone shows the greatness, but there's a whole other side of struggle. And when people start hitting the struggle, they start realizing it's not as fun as this, and they start falling off, right? So what I realized is, even guys like you, you're inspiring me. And the reason you're inspiring me is because, as I know, as a mentor who's going out there and spending time and trying to help the world and pass down the knowledges that I have been very fortunate to receive, and all the failed experiences and all the good experiences, I know that I have someone at 17 who's watching me, or now at 18 watching me, and trying to pick up on that. And my only hopes is to pass this positive and good energy down. So one day you will be touching all these other people's lives, and making that difference, right? Because we have that real positive connection at Aura. Like, as I'm telling you this right now, I'm getting chills on my body, and I can see you kind of getting a little emotional, because it's true. I mean, I love doing that, and you've inspired me, brother. And I'll tell you this right now on our podcast: as much as you think that I've inspired you, when you did the trademark orange hair, I at first was like, "What the hell is he doing?" And then a second flash hit, and I was like, duh, this guy is branding. He is way ahead of the game. And there are times where I'm like, hey, Merc, I need a favor. Can you please retweet this out? Because your audience is this audience and my audience is this audience, right? And it's not asking for money. It's just, we care about each other. We want to help each other. We've talked about you moving to El Paso, right? We've talked about you having a house here. We've talked about you moving to LA. I said, go move to Phoenix and we'll figure this out, right? Even in our Play in ACL show, you're one of my features that we're going to put in mainland China. We have 500,000 views, right? For what? Because I like you. We're friends. That's what we do. And it doesn't matter that you're 18 and I'll be 40 this year. It doesn't matter. It's the genuineness, right? The really, I care about you. How can I work with you? And I am, at my age, constantly learning from someone who's much more younger than me, as much as you're learning from me. So I want to tell you, Merc, thank you so much as well. It means a lot to me. And thank you for putting me with great minds like a Ty and great minds like a Gary. That means so much to me as well. Merc, go ahead and tell us your Instagram handle, your Twitch channel, your stream, and when they come on, and your names there, please.
Well, first, I also want to thank you for taking a chance on me as well, because there's so many people who can see my comment and just brush it off. Oh, it's just some random person, whatever. But you took the time to actually look at who I was and to answer me, and that's definitely something you don't see very often. And I definitely really appreciate you going that extra mile for me, even though I was a stranger on the internet. And now look at us.
You got my feels going, man. You got my feels.
Yeah.
Feel a little bit of tears right here, but that's what it is, right? I mean, we're just honest, right? That's just what we want to do. We want to be honest. We want to let everyone know that there are going to be a lot of bad days, and be a lot of haters. There are going to be a lot of people around you who don't support you, people you grow with, people that you love. And by fate and destiny, you can meet someone hundreds of thousands of miles away, completely age difference, in a new industry, and develop such a brotherhood, such a love, that support is so much more real than people you might have grown up in your crowd, right? And people are afraid to let go of that. But when I turn to the community, I have you, I have Zytex, I have Melissa, I have a couple of people that, even in one of our other incidents that happened, that completely supported the characters that we were, right? It's the people that we were, because we know the difference. And I encourage everyone, as you're looking around in your group, in your support group, are they really cheering for you, or are they laughing at you? right? And it's not scary to find new people, even if it's on social media, because a lot of times people highlight all the bad of social media. Well, without social media, I would have never met you and developed that type of friendship, right? That's just the reality of it. And so thank you so much. Please drop again those handles, and I'm gonna wipe away my tears as we're saying this. Go ahead, bud.
So you can find me on pretty much every social media: Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, even TikTok now. It's Merc
We didn't come
Anthony.
on a TikTok thing. We got to figure out when I see you next.
Oh,
Maybe this
TikTok.
weekend. Now I think I might fly in on Friday just to see you. So we'll see what we can do.
All right, cool. I'll be there. So it's MERC Anthony, one word. If you literally Google it, it'll come up. Go on Twitter, Instagram, anything, just type it in, it'll come right up. And that's me. I'm the kid with orange hair, the walking brand deal.
The walking brand. Thank you, Merc, for your time. Thank you guys for listening to the Pandanomics podcast. You can check us out, download us on Apple, Spotify. We are going to start a YouTube channel. We are going to start a Twitch channel. We are going to start a TikTok channel, because guys like Merc have inspired me to do this and continue the message. And guys, I want to encourage you guys. There will be so many times when you're sending out messages and trying to change yourself, and don't get discouraged by the many likes, or don't get discouraged by the many views, and don't get discouraged by the people around you. You never know who you're impacting and helping. You never know what you can do to make a change in someone's life. You never know when you're taking someone off the ledge. And I think that is the way the world should be. I think that's the way that the community of gaming should be. I think that's the way the community should be in general, right? So, Merc, thank you again, guys. Thanks for listening to Pandanomics podcast. We'll catch you guys next week. We'll talk to you soon. Much love. Panda loves you. We're out.